still had your cell phone, like I said before. Remember our cell phones, as I said before, we don't have any...
They don't work very well up here.
Right. No service at all.
Mine works very nice. You got to go to AT&T. That's the best stuff.
We talked to the chief about that.
Well,
Okay, again, you remember I'm Jeff Knopf, Hudson Police Department, Detective Petit with the Hudson Police Department, and I made an introduction to Mr. Richard Walter. Okay. It's about 6:12 p.m. on December 7th at the Rusk County Sheriff's Department. And we're speaking with, you can give us your name and date of birth.
Father Ryan Erickson. Birthday is January 17th, 1973.
Okay, and your middle name?
Oh, Gene.
Gene.
Yeah, with a G. G-E-N-E.
Okay. Just as again before, like you said before, like when we recorded the conversation last time and you agreed to that and that wasn't a problem, we'll just be doing the same thing again this evening. Okay. Just so, so you're aware of that. The reason that we're up here again, talked to you before, is about the double homicide that happened at the O'Connell Funeral Home on Tuesday, February 5th, 2002. At that time, you were living in Hudson.
In Hudson, at the rectory.
Okay. And the address at the rectory is?
I want to say 315, but it might be something else. Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, what street?
It's 4th Street.
Okay. Okay. At that time, your employment, the reason you were in Hudson?
Was the associate pastor under Father Peter Schlesinski.
And I won't even ask to spell that one.
No. Okay. It took me a year to figure out how to say it.
Okay. All right. What were your primary duties?
Primary duties at the church were to go to the school, were to help out with funerals. Masses were, primary duty was masses and confession. Those were my primary duties. I was the regular confessor at St. Patrick's. But then it became, to go to school became kind of an add-on. Father Peter wanted me to do it. It took almost half a year to convince me. And then it was more of an order than it was a convincing. So.
Okay. Do you remember Dan O'Connell?
I do remember Dan.
Do you remember James Ellison?
I met him one time maybe, and it would have been very briefly. So I saw pictures of him and stuff, but that's all.
Okay. Did you met him one time?
But one time probably. I think it was when I went over we went to a funeral, and he was there, but it was brief because he was kind of out in and out kind of guy.
Okay, do you remember where that took place?
That would have been in the funeral home is where I would have met him.
Okay, at the O'Connell Funeral Home?
Yeah.
Did you recall about when that was?
It would have been probably just after I got there or somewhere in that vicinity. So I would guess probably, if I had to guess, I'd say 2 months, but I would be very unsure about that.
Okay, and you recall?
I remember meeting him one time and saying hello. And there might have been a time after that, so I say maybe one or maybe another, I'm not sure. But I remember one time. But again, it was very brief.
Okay. And what kind of relationship did you have with Dan O'Connell?
Simple priest, parishioner kind of relationship. He had more of a relationship with Father Peter because Father Peter kind of dealt with a lot of different issues he was dealing with. Whereas with me, it was more of I'd get in the car when somebody died and we'd go off and bury them. So that's the only relationship I had with him in that sense. Okay.
Did you ever have any social relationship?
There's only one time that I thought maybe we had a social relationship, and that would have been when if he was, because I didn't know if he was or not, at the parish festival in the evening. A number of us stayed after, but I had had enough beers at that time to tell you I don't know who might have been there, kind of thing.
Do you recall prior to the homicides, when was the last time that you saw Dan?
It would have been a week, I believe it was a week prior, in which we went to bury someone. So about a week before that happened. I think it was a Wednesday, but I could be wrong.
A week before?
A week before he passed, before somebody shot him, yeah.
Okay.
So I think it was a Wednesday or a Tuesday beforehand.
Do you recall any conversation you had with Dan then?
The only conversation we had was he wanted me to come out and bless his house, and wanted to go to confession. And I said that would be absolutely able to be done. So, but we never made it to the confession or the house blessing.
And you know where Dan lived?
Not until the day that I was brought out there. Yeah.
Okay. Going back to Tuesday, February 5th, 2002. Prior to this, when Sean and I came up to visit with you, do you recall that day of February 5th, 2002?
I recall the day. Oh yeah, yeah. Parts of it, like as we went through it, I was trying to keep bringing stuff to my mind, but that's a long time. It's a long time to ask a guy to remember things.
Okay. From what you remember, can you kind of run through us again with what you did that day?
From what I can recall, I came down the street on which
Can we back up a little bit? Can you start off from that morning?
Oh goodness gracious!
I mean, I know you don't have your daily planner here or whatever, but maybe
would
start
say-
back from
Okay, I'll try.
the early
Father
morning.
Peter wasn't here, so I probably had the mass unless Father DeBruzzi took it, depending which one it was. So then after that, I would have been in the offices, would have gone down to the school, would have been back. So if I had been around, I would have been down at the school, then would have come back up to the offices to tell Ellen that I was going to be stepping out for a while. And then that's when I would have gone down Wisconsin Avenue and come across to that the road that leads to the funeral home, in which I couldn't get through, so I was diverted and went a different direction to the tobacco shop, in which I was going to buy some tobacco for my pipe.
Okay. Did you buy tobacco for your pipe?
I would guess I did. Yeah, I don't recall, but I'm sure I did.
Okay. After you left the tobacco shop,
I went up to the Carmichael area, went back to St. Patrick's, asked Ellen what was going on, and Ellen said that something had happened up at the funeral home, and then it said somewhere in there I was asked to come to the funeral home, to which then I went up, and DeBruzzi was there. And then I came back to the house, or back to the parish, and then after being back at the parish, we went off. Now, and this is where I get confused. I'm not sure if I went to the sisters first or if I went out to the O'Connell house first. One of the two happened. I think it was the O'Connell house first. I went out, then went to the sisters, and then would have been down eating at 5 o'clock at the house.
at
The rectory, yeah, the place right there.
So from the time Ellen mentioned that something happened at the, do you remember exactly what she said?
No,
Or
I
how
can't.
she heard it?
Well, I think she heard it from the judge, who has a scanner, but I'm not sure. I think he heard the call that something happened up at the funeral home, but I'm not positive about that.
Okay.
But I know he always heard lots of stuff, and he would always call and tell her. So it seems like that's where I would have heard it from.
So you heard something happened at the funeral home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What did you do next?
That's the thing. I think I was asked to go up to the funeral home. And when I got there, DeBruzzi was there.
So you didn't go to the funeral home?
Well, there was some part during that time that I went up there to the funeral home to see if they needed a priest. And that's when the other guy, Jensen, waved me on and said, "No, Father, you can't be here. You got to get out of here." And then when I came back a second time, there was all kinds of reporters outside the place.
Do you remember what time that was?
I don't know. It would have been, I think it would have been, the reporters, I think, were there maybe around 6:30, maybe. I don't remember.
Backing up a little bit, initially when you went down, that would be 11th Street, southbound towards the funeral home off of Wisconsin. You recall what time that was?
What, the first time?
The first time.
I think it was right after lunch, so I would guess it was about 1:30, 1:45, somewhere in there it was when I went down.
Okay. And then when you went back the second time,
I wouldn't know what time.
The time that Marty Jensen.
Yeah, that would that was later. Probably, if I had to guess, I would say about 4:30, right in there.
Was it dark out yet or light out?
Well, I think it was just getting gray, kind of thing, but I'm not positive.
At that time, did you have a conversation with Sergeant Jensen?
Just simply that I couldn't be there and kind of told me to get moving, keep moving. So,
Okay. Were you outside your vehicle or?
I would have been inside the vehicle at that time.
Okay. How did you come in contact with Sergeant Jensen?
I drove up or maybe I was out of the vehicle at that point. I may have been out of the vehicle. All I know is when I talked to Marty, he said that no one could go in, no last rites or anything like that, and he told me I had to go. So I just obediently got in the car or was in the car and went.
Okay, where did you go?
I think that I would have gone by the sisters and said to the sisters, let's say a prayer for them. But I'm not positive about that, the sequence of things on that day.
Okay, and you're talking about the Carmelite sisters?
The Carmelite sisters, yeah.
Okay, do you remember who did you speak with?
Oh, Sister Gemma and all the sisters came down. In fact, it must have been about 4:30 or so. I think one of them had just got back from Walmart or something because she wasn't in her habit, which kind of shocked me a little bit.
Okay, how'd you know she got back from Walmart?
I believe she told me she was at Walmart.
Okay, how long did you visit with the sisters?
Oh, maybe 15 minutes at most.
Okay, then you left where the Carmelite sisters are.
Yep.
That's located at the top of the 3rd Street Hill?
Yep.
Okay, where did you go?
I would have guessed that I went down home to the place to eat, down to the rectory.
For supper?
For supper, yeah.
Did you have supper with anybody that night?
Father Peter was gone, so it would have been just me there, and I'm not sure if Cammie was there when I got there or if she wasn't there when I got there. Sometimes she'd be there and she'd serve the food, and sometimes she wouldn't be there, and then I just have to serve myself, but I'm not real sure if she was there or not.
Okay, and Cammie?
Cammie is the housekeeper.
Okay, what's Cammie's last name?
Westerdahl.
Okay, you eat. And it's approximately, do you ever leave the house again?
Oh, sure. There might be a meeting or something going on that I have to take care of. So
That night, did you leave?
I wouldn't be able to tell you if I did or not. I would guess I probably went back up to the parish because I would have to lock it up. So I would at least have to go up there to lock the parish up.
Did you ever come in contact with Jenny O'Connell?
I did.
Where was that?
At her house.
Approximately what time?
I would say that it was before I went to the sisters. So probably around 3, 2, somewhere in there.
Do you remember how you got there?
I think somebody took me there, but I can't remember. And I've been trying to put a name to the face or a face with and I can't come up with who would have taken me there. So I'm not sure.
Was that in your vehicle or?
It would have been in my vehicle. I would have probably had my vehicle there.
And you had a light silver colored vehicle?
A light silver colored vehicle. Okay. A Buick.
A Buick?
Yeah.
What kind of Buick?
Regal.
Any year on that?
2000. I think 2000.
2-door or 4-door?
4-door.
Light silver?
Light silver.
Not like a dark charcoal gray or
No. This was just like a silver.
How long did you stay at Jenny O'Connell's?
Oh, not long because I kind of felt a little awkward being there. There was lots of crying, a lot of people around, and they were introducing me to different people. And I would say no more than a half an hour. No more than a half an hour. So it might be less than that.
What did you speak with? You spoke with Jenny?
I spoke with Jenny. Spoke with some other people that they introduced me to, said hello to the kids who were somewhere. I think they were on the couch. And there was someone else there with me, and I'm just trying to remember who it was that I was kind of clinging to, because they knew the family, and I just kind of clinged that way. But I can't remember who it was. There was someone there, though. I know there was.
Were you ever introduced to, did Jenny introduce you to anybody?
You know, she introduced me to so many different people there. There were some friends, and I think maybe her parents were there. You know, but there were a number of different people there. I primarily was focused on Jenny more than I was on anyone else at that point.
Was Mike there, do you recall? Mike O'Connell?
I'm not sure. He might have been, but I'm not sure.
What was your conversation with Jenny?
Just condolences. I'll pray for you. Anything I can do for your family, please don't hesitate to call. I informed her that Father Peter would probably be back, and he'll take care of that, the funeral. So that kind of stuff.
Okay. Was there any hugging or kissing or anything?
Oh, yeah. Well, I gave her a hug.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. How'd she react to that?
She was the one, I think, that initiated. I'm not a big hugger, so normally that has to be initiated before I'll go ahead and do that. So I would guess she initiated it.
Okay.
After you left Jenny's house, recall what you did the rest of the evening?
I remember going to the sisters, I think. I think that was the order. Went to Jenny's house, then to the sisters, then back to the house. And my routine normally during the night would be to go over and see them. But I don't know. I don't know what I did that night. I know I would have to lock up the building because I was in charge. So I know I had to do that.
And lock up the building?
The church building, yeah.
And okay. And you mentioned some other people's names?
And they live out on County, that way.
Is that a male and a female, or?
That's a male and a female, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you all know. Come on.
No, I don't.
Oh, I'm sure you've read some of the letters and stuff in the.
That's a him then.
That's a him. Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever? You said you went past the funeral home originally.
Mm-hmm.
1:30, quarter to 2.
Was going up that way, but was stopped not to go through.
Correct. And then you went back a little bit later and saw Father DeBruzzi.
DeBruzzi.
Okay. And did you go back again a second time?
I came back. Yeah, I was back a second time, in which that was the time I was ushered away, I believe, by Officer Jensen.
So you were there. You went past it one time, right? Before any police were there or anything?
No, police would have been there, I believe.
Police were there.
The police were there,
Okay.
and the place was blocked off, so that's when I went the other direction.
Okay. And then you came back twice more?
No, one more.
One more. So there's a total of 2.
Well, I think there's a total of 2, yeah. But I'm not, again, I'm really not positive. I wish I could remember better what took place. I think that, I don't know. I just don't know.
One time you're on your way to the tobacco shop on 11th Street.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And then another time is when I was shooed off by, and I think there was one time when I was there. Did I get out of the car and stop, or? I don't know. I don't. There might have been one other time that I was there and was out of the car. And I think that's when I noticed. Is that when I saw DeBruzzi? I might have been there that one other time in between that in which I got out of the car. But I'm not positive. I couldn't even tell you where I would have parked exactly or anything like that. But I think I did. I think I was there on the premises. So, but I'm not positive.
When you went through the first time at 1:30ish or whatever, what did you know about the scene?
All I knew is something had happened up at the funeral parlor. Didn't know anything else besides that. So that's when I went back, asked Ellen. She said something had happened up at and she was the one who said something about Dan, or at least I could swear that she was the one who said, I think it was Dan or something like that.
Do you remember what context she said it in, or what her?
No, I just remember her being distraught, crying. When I came up to the desk, I came into the room, was looking out that direction. She said, something up there is happening. It could be Dan and blah, blah, blah. And I sat there and I listened to that. And then, or did she know at that point? Somebody asked me to go out to the O'Connell house. Now, where exactly that time takes place, I'm not sure. But at some point, somebody says, you need to go out to Jenny O'Connell's house. And I remember putting it off a little bit, not wanting to go out right away. And then going out. And I could swear somebody took me.
Why would you put it off for a while?
Oh, I was a little scared. I didn't know what exactly to what was going to see out there. Or, I'm not the best socially skilled guy. And so I get very easy. And this I didn't want to go into this situation being nervous and then trying to figure out what am I going to say to this poor woman who just lost her husband. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, or whatever was going on. And I was nervous on that account. But then eventually I did go out. It was either me or DeBruzzi, and I didn't want him going out there. So
is he the one that went out with you, do you think? Could he have gone with you?
I don't think it was him. But it might have been. I'm not sure if it was him or not, who it was. I really don't.
But you're sure it was somebody?
I think there was somebody. I'm almost sure somebody was with me, but I don't know who it was. Everything took place so fast that day, and then with the funeral and everything that took place there, I don't know.
When you got to Jenny's house, did that subject go in the house with you and help console people?
I'm not sure. I'm sure if they were along, they came into the house with me.
Certainly you wouldn't leave in the car, right?
Part of me thinks I could be wrong. I just don't know. But I'm not positive.
Do you know how he spells his last name? Or how I could get a hold of him?
And you can call, I'm sure that somebody from the parish would know.
He's a parishioner then?
Well, he's moved now. But somebody from the parish, I'm sure, is still in contact with him, from the staff, because he was on staff.
It would have been your vehicle, though, you said you took out there.
Again, I would be almost sure that it was my vehicle, but I'm not positive that it was my vehicle.
Okay. Would you be the operator of that vehicle?
I would have been the operator of the vehicle. But for some reason, I remember being in the passenger side. But I don't know. Again, I'm not sure if I was or wasn't.
Do you normally let other people drive you around?
Oh, yeah.
In your car?
Yep. Secretary drove me down here. Yeah. I like to sit on the passenger side sometime.
Okay. If you can just one more time for clarification. If you can start out the morning of Tuesday, February 5th. Go through what you did that day.
Either I or Father DeBruzzi would have had the mass at 8 o'clock. I would have been up in the office by that time, either way, depending.
In the office, you're referring to?
Connected to the church. So I would have been in the office area, and church would have been going on in the chapel. By 8 o'clock, I would have been up there. And so then I had the funeral. No, I didn't have a funeral. There was no funeral that day. So I would have had the mass that day. Yeah, I would have been the one that had the mass that day.
Okay.
And then would have been in the office, probably talking to different people who just stopped by. Would have gone down possibly to the school and been with the kids for lunch. I don't think I would have gone to any classrooms. I usually mark that on my day planner, and I don't remember that being in there.
What time was normally lunchtime for the kids?
I would say 11:30 until, I don't know, they got done with the recess about 12:30, somewhere in there. So I would have been down in that area with the kids. most of the time, that's where I would have been found. Okay.
Is there just is there like one shift for lunch, or is there two shifts?
There's two
for lunch?
shifts. There's the little kids come in, and then the little kids are gone, and then the big kids come in, and then they all go out to the playground, and then I usually would go out to the playground and be with them on the playground.
For lunch, it starts at 11:30,
I believe 11:30. Yeah,
and that's shift number one.
that would be shift number one.
Would you stay for both shifts?
Most of the time, yes.
And the second shift would be done approximately what time?
Usually, they were going out the door by about 12:15 or so, somewhere in there, and then 12:30 was the end of recess. So I'd have about maybe 15 minutes out on the playground.
Play with the kids. And
Oh yeah,
do
yeah,
that
just
sort of
goof
thing?
around, yeah.
So you're usually done with the playground duties at what time?
About 12:30.
12:30ish?
Yeah,
Okay.
about 12:30. But the rectory's right there, so a lot of times I would go right over to the rectory to go to the bathroom. I had, here again, that shyness about me, and also the smarts. I never used the public toilet wherever I'm at for the fear of being accused of something, so I wouldn't go in there. I would go across the street to the rectory. So probably would have gone to the rectory then if I needed to. Then back into the car, up to the parish, let Ellen know that I would have been stepping out at some point or wherever I was going up to get this or that. Would have told her, I'm sure I would have told her that I was going to get tobacco or I was going out to do something, run an errand. Got in the car, went down the Wisconsin street, came up to the,
Okay, and you're talking about you're going southbound on Wisconsin Street.
yeah, towards the funeral home. So, yeah, that would be the south.
Any landmarks along that route?
Well, yeah, they've got the Methodist nursing home that's there. Is on the 11th Street, I believe that is, which goes right to the intersection where the funeral parlor is.
Okay. Where do these people live?
Well, if you're turning off of Wisconsin Street, you come around onto 11th. I think they're look there.
So they live between Kinnickinnick Street and Wisconsin Street?
I'm not sure what that is there, but yeah, it would
How
be
many
in between
houses,
there.
How many houses
I would
up
say,
from the funeral home? Blocks
maybe 2 blocks, 3 blocks, something like that.
to the north of the funeral home?
Yeah, well, yeah, to the north, yeah.
Okay, so you continue southbound on 11th Street.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and I see that there's all kinds of vehicles up there, emergency vehicles. So I go off a different direction because you can't get through there, and I go to the tobacco shop.
Okay, and the emergency vehicles,
You know, just flashing lights. That's what I remember. So whether there was cop cars or whether it was fire trucks or what, I'm not sure. I'm sure there was cop cars there, and I'm sure there were an ambulance. And then I went off a different direction and went to the tobacco shop. Then from the tobacco shop, I went back to the parish, and then I talked to Ellen.
okay.
And then from
From
Ellen,
the different direction, do you recall, Ryan, which way did you go, left or right?
I don't recall which direction I went in. I don't know if I went left or right. I'm not positive. But I know that I ended up at the tobacco shop.
How about when you left the tobacco shop?
Went down up to Carmichael and down Vine Street so that I could go to the parish.
So you're northbound on Carmichael,
Mm-hmm.
and then would have been westbound on Vine Street.
Yeah.
And there's a couple different entrances, I think, into the church. Isn't there one off from Vine Street and there's one off from Wisconsin
I
Street?
always use the one from Vine.
Okay.
That's the one. That's the one I used coming in because I would park my car underneath the canopy. And so then when I would leave, I would go down through the Wisconsin exit.
But even when you came up from the rectory,
If I came up from the rectory, then I would take the Wisconsin exit. And then I'd zip around underneath the, But anytime I was coming from like Walmart or any of those kind of places, I always came back using Carmichael and Vine. That was my routine.
Okay.
Do you remember the night before Monday, the 4th of February? Do you remember what you did Monday?
No, it was uneventful. There was nothing that I can recall that was outstanding in my mind that I did.
Or how about Wednesday, the day after?
Wednesday, just kind of, I had mass in the morning because I remember we said instead of a homily, we said a prayer for Dan. So instead of a homily, I said a prayer. And then it would have been the day as usual. And then wondering when Father Peter would be coming back and all that kind of stuff.
Did he make it back on that Wednesday?
You know, I'm not sure when he came back. If it was on Wednesday or Thursday or Friday or when he was back. See, we were having some trouble with the principal at that point. And so, in fact, she came in during the wake service and resigned her post to Father Peter. So there was a lot of things going on in the parish at the time, in the sense of extraordinary things such as that. So I would guess that Wednesday evening, and Wednesday night I remember, because I was in the classroom and I taught 6th grade CCD. And I remember having to field questions about the killing. Boy, the kids had already heard about all that already. And so I had to try to, field that out and talk to them about it.
What did the kids tell you about the killing? What did they know?
Well, they just knew that he got shot. That's what they knew. At least from what I can recall, that's what they knew.
And with the media talking about
I'm sure, yeah.
caliber and rounds and everything, did they discuss it, or did they?
Not caliber or rounds or anything, just that he had been shot and how terrible it was, and they couldn't believe that it had happened in Hudson. And some of them had known Dan, and the parents had hung out with Dan or something, and so that was even a bigger shock to them in that sense.
What do you know personally about the murders?
I just know.
I know we talked about it one other time, but
I just know that James and Dan were shot. That's the only facts I know. I've heard rumors such as the mafia did it, but they were looking for Tom. I heard rumors that somebody was looking for some type of stuff, formaldehyde, and then I heard that wasn't taken. But that's primarily what I've heard. I heard that he was shot at his desk, and James, I heard, was shot in a doorway.
Do you recall where you heard this from?
I'm not exactly positive, no.
Who do you think would have?
Well, at that time there was so much speculation going on the weeks following. There was so much stuff out there. Just media stuff, also the office talk, constantly some new thing that they had heard from somebody somewhere. So it could have been office talk, it could have been from the media. I'm not sure.
When you were asked to go out to Jenny's house and talk to Jenny, you're going out there to locate Jenny?
Yeah.
And her children?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know where Tom and Janet were at the time?
I think they were out of town. But I recall wondering if they were going to be there or kind of looking for them, because I would have felt a lot safer with them, being that they were older and they would have been. In my book, I'm friendlier with that group of people than I am the younger group of people, because I seem to be more old-fashioned. So I kind of fit better with the older people. But I can't remember if they were in town, out of town. I'm not positive.
Do you recall anything about their yearly trip?
Well, I know they took a trip somewhere, but I didn't know where or when that trip takes place.
Did you have any idea if it took place in the summertime or the wintertime?
If I had to guess, I would say it was the wintertime, and I would say that it was I think it was that time. I think they were out of town too, but I might be getting that mixed up with Father Peter. But I do remember looking for them, thinking they're going to be there. So, I don't know.
Okay. We've asked you this before. Do you know who killed Dan O'Connell and James Ellison?
I have no idea.
If you knew, would you tell us?
If I knew, and it was outside the Sacrament of Reconciliation, I would tell you. And nobody came to me saying they killed James Ellison or Dan O'Connell.
Okay.
Getting back to some of the things that we talked about in your recollection of that day, there's some discrepancies in what we've heard both times. Is it possible that you were at the Carmelite home for an hour to 2 hours
No.
on that day?
I don't believe so. No. If I remember correctly, I came in, and I wasn't there more than, I want to say 15 minutes, but I thought I'd be 30 minutes, 30, 15, something like that. It wasn't. I don't think it was very long. I certainly didn't celebrate any mass or anything like that with them. It was just a quick prayer. So.
And your travel to the tobacco shop was for what?
Tobacco, to get pipe tobacco or a cigar, depending on what I was smoking at the time.
Okay.
Tonight you had mentioned something different than you had mentioned when we came up to visit you in Hurley.
What was that?
You had told us when we talked to you up there, you were going there strictly for a cigar.
Well, either one. It depends on what I'm smoking at the time. I smoke both things, so I know it was tobacco. I was going up there for something.
Okay. Do you recall what it had been over your lunch hour?
It would have been right after. Yeah, it probably would have been in that lunch hour time. Right after. If I was down with the kids, it would have been right after that time.
But you made another stop prior to that.
Stop.
Did you go back to the church?
I would have come up and said to Ellen that I was going to be gone, or I'd be back shortly, or whatever, and then would have gone up and to the tobacco shop, and then come back, and that's when I saw Ellen.
Did she say that anybody had called up to the church looking for a priest?
I thought that's what I remember her saying, that somebody had called looking for a priest. And I think, I'm almost sure she said that DeBruzzi was going to go out, or she tried calling me or tried calling DeBruzzi. And so.
At that point, if you didn't know, Ryan, if a priest had gone up there or not, why didn't you go?
I think that's when I think I did go up there, but I can't recall. I really can't. I know that I went up there, and I know that it was up there a number of times, and I know that I saw, or I think I saw Father DeBruzzi up there. Or somebody told me he was there, one of the two. And that's when I thought, well, if DeBruzzi's there, DeBruzzi's there. He's up at the funeral home. And when I had gone up again to look, that's when I was told to keep moving.
When we were up to visit in Hurley, you had mentioned, and this is a pretty significant thing, but you had mentioned what you heard about number of shots, placement of shots. Do you remember saying that?
I don't remember saying anything about placements of shots or anything.
I mean, as far as where on the bodies, you had indicated to me.
Well, I thought I had said that maybe one shot or something, but I wasn't sure of how many shots or even where the placement of the shots would be.
You don't recall saying that, or you didn't say it?
Well, I don't think I said anything about it. I think I remember you asking the question, and I said, well, I wasn't exactly sure, but yeah, I'm not sure how I answered.
Do you know where they were shot?
Where they were shot? No.
On the body?
No, I don't.
Do you know what part of the funeral home they were shot in?
I thought I had heard by his desk and in some doorway.
Okay. In his desk, meaning Dan?
Yeah, at his desk.
Okay.
And then James in a doorway.
Do you know where you would have heard that from?
No, I don't.
Do you know what kind of caliber weapon it was?
I know.
What kind of caliber?
I don't know. That I don't know.
If we were to tell you that there's people that have come forward since our
Mhm.
conversation, you know, that we're going to go back and talk to people,
Mhm.
that they said that they saw you coming back to the church northbound on Wisconsin Street. Can you explain that to us?
No, I can't. I could have come back that direction. Like I told you guys, I wasn't sure as to what directions I was taking. And so when I was sitting there talking with you, I'm trying to come up with the best plan in my mind of where was I going and what was I doing. But maybe I came back on that road. I really don't know.
But you would have went by the funeral home again.
I really don't remember. I don't know if that's the way I came home. For me, it would have normally I would take Carmichael
But you
to Vine.
specifically told us when you were done with the tobacco shop that you went on eastbound on Cooley to Carmichael to Vine Street.
Because that's
And
what
now
I
that
would,
may have changed.
well, that's because that's my normal route. That's the route I would normally take. I told you I wasn't sure about which direction I came. And I could have come back that direction.
What did you see when you went by the funeral home?
All I remember seeing is flashing lights. That's what I remember seeing.
After you left the tobacco shop and went by the funeral home, what did you see?
I would guess again, probably if I would say it would be flashing lights again.
And at that
Or
point,
Marty Jensen. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't.
But you did have a conversation with Marty, correct?
I remember talking to Marty. Yes,
How long was that conversation?
it was very short. It was just to tell me that they didn't need me or something, and I could be moving along.
And you know Marty Jensen personally?
I know him, well, personally in the sense that
I mean, if he walked in here, you'd know,
I know him.
that
Oh
was
yeah.
Marty Jensen.
Oh sure, yeah.
And he would know that you were Father
yes,
Ryan Erickson,
yes, he
correct?
would, yeah.
Can you explain why he doesn't recall seeing you there at all?
I don't know, but I saw him.
But you
I
talked
saw-
to him.
I know I did. Yes,
Okay, and he knows you personally.
yes.
And you were by Father DeBruzzi at one time?
I think I was over. Again, I don't know if I was by Druzy or not. I don't.
Do you know the direction? If I was to tell you on the north side of the funeral home, west side, east side, south side, would it be safe to say that Summer Street is on the north side of the funeral home? Do you know what direction the north is? Just so that we know.
Yeah. Well, I know where north is. Yeah.
Okay. And directly, if I was standing right in front of the funeral home, that would be what side of the funeral home?
The west.
The west side.
Mm-hmm.
Where were you in comparison with Father DeBruzzi?
Well, see, this is the thing. I'm not sure if I was out of the car and with Father DeBruzzi there. I think I was. I'm not positive about it. And it would have been probably the north side, furthest away from the doors. I remember being there, but I might be getting that mixed up with the celebration they had with the letting go of the balloons and stuff.
But you remember seeing Father DeBruzzi there that day, correct?
I think I saw Father DeBruzzi there, or somebody told me Father DeBruzzi was there. I'm not positive.
But being a priest, wouldn't you make sure that, given the fact that these are Catholic parishioners, that you'd make darn sure that somebody from the
Oh yes,
Catholic
and that's
church
why.
is there?
Oh yes, and that's why. And I think Ellen's the one who said Father DeBruzzi's there, or Father DeBruzzi was called, or I couldn't get a hold of you. Father DeBruzzi went up. I think that's what took place. And then when I went up there, that's when Officer Jensen said, "No, keep moving."
On the north side of the road,
No,
or on the
that
north
would have
side
been the
of
west side. That would have been on the way. He was in the. There was an alley, and I remember there was a Channel 6 or 12 news truck there, and he was right over here in front of the funeral home. Here's the doors.
Okay.
He was right here, and this
And-
is where I came up, and he said, "No,
You came up from like Taco John's?
no, I came
Let me draw you a little map here.
I'm almost sure I came down this direction towards, here's the funeral
well,
parlor.
okay, hang on a minute here, because
To use a bigger piece. Here.
this direction doesn't. I'm a little confused. Let's draw it out here. I'll
And
draw.
while Sean's drawing out a map for us, was your cell phone working that day?
I'm sure it would have been, yeah. But
So
I didn't
any
always
reason-
I didn't always carry it with me. So maybe I had it, maybe I don't. In fact, I didn't carry it with me today. I just, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
If you were the only priest that was in town, knew that you were the go-to guy.
Well, I wasn't the only priest. There was two others. Father
Okay.
DeBruzzi and Father Virgil.
And you were there, and if somebody wanted to contact you, why wouldn't you carry your cell phone with you?
Irresponsibility. I just didn't, because I wouldn't be gone long. You know, I was going to be right back at the parish, so there's no sense for me sometimes to carry it. I just would leave it or put it in the car or turn it off, or a number of different little reasons. Or forget it.
When you turned it back on, did you have any messages?
I don't recall any messages, but I might have.
Okay. When he's drawing a map, everything's going to be explained on there. If you have any questions about the directions on there. See, with some of these, you know, when we talked to you the first time, or now on some of the inconsistencies, that becomes kind of problematic for us.
No, I understand
And
that.
we're trying
yeah.
to
understand
resolve that.
No, I understand that.
Okay. This is a sketch of the area. This would be EP Rock School over here. Would I be safe to say that? EP Rock? You know where the Rock School is, the elementary school? And right here on the, well, it'd be over here actually. Over here. This is actually the, let's call this the dentist office. Kel Dental, correct?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right here, there's a building. Okay, you know where Summer Street is, correct?
Okay.
And this is Green Street. This doesn't go through here. And right here's the funeral home. Initially, you came down. This is 11th. And you came down 11th Street, correct? And it was blocked off?
Not there. I think it was blocked off up here. There was something going on right up in here.
Right
And
up
whether
in
it was blocked off or I couldn't get through because somebody told me I couldn't, I didn't come through. At least I don't remember coming through.
Now you understand this picture.
Yeah.
You
I
understand that this was the entrance
Sure.
to the funeral home.
Yeah. And then there's some type of this is where that alley is, or that
Correct.
yeah.
Yeah,
And-
there's
and that's
there's
where
an
there was-
apartment building over there.
Yeah.
There's
And
an
at one
apartment.
point during the day there was all kinds of cars out here.
Correct.
And I think that's when I came across Officer Jensen,
Out here?
in which he said, yeah, he was over here, and he said that no, I should keep moving along, that it was a crime scene, couldn't go in or anything like that.
Were you in your car then?
I can't remember if I was in my car, if I got out of the car to talk to him. I think I was inside the car.
But you diverted from 11th Street onto Summer Street.
Well,
Or did you go back?
you know, I'm not sure. I don't know what direction I went in.
But you didn't go straight through.
Again, I don't believe I went straight through, no. But I could have. I don't know. I remember it as being blocked off. That's how I remember.
Okay.
Now, whether or not my memory's right and this was blocked off, I'm not sure.
When this was blocked off, when you saw Sergeant Jensen, was that on your initial way through?
I think that was it was later in the day.
Later in the day?
Yeah.
When you came back? You
Yeah.
went through the first time
I
and
think
you
that's
came back?
when I went off to the sisters then. I think that's when I went off to the sisters.
Okay, before you went back to the church?
No, this would be the second time when I came through, or third
Okay,
time.
let's talk about the first time here. So you went
Okay.
through, and then you left, and you went up to the church, and something happened.
Yeah, they said somebody had gotten hurt or something had happened, and I could have swore they said Dan had gotten hurt.
Dan got hurt,
Mhm.
or Dan got killed.
You know, I'm not sure exactly what she said, but it could be Dan was killed or Dan got hurt or something happened at the funeral home. Something like that was said.
Okay. How long after that was it before you came back again? I mean, these are significant events, and obviously
I know. I'm
your
just
memory
trying
is
to-
real good here, but
I'm trying.
I'm a little concerned because we're missing some key elements here.
Well, I think I came through. I could have come through there 2-3 times. I remember there's a part where I went to visit with Jenny, and I remember it being daylight. So it had to be in that time.
Okay, you can.
Because it was after I visited with Jenny,
Can you explain why you would have come by a third time?
nosy, see what's going on. If I came by a third time, it was to see what's going on and if I could get in or anything, that kind of thing. I think I'm surprised Officer Jensen does not recall me being there because I talked to him.
Okay. Well, let's say that Marty's forgetful. You're coming through at 11th Street the first time you're on your way to the tobacco shop. You see Marty standing out here.
Mhm.
You stop your car? Or you get out of your car?
No, wait a minute. The first time?
Yes.
No, I didn't. I'm almost sure it was not the first time. No. I don't believe I stopped the first time.
But you weren't able to get through the first time.
I don't believe so, no. I believe I had to go a different direction.
Did you ever come back this direction from the south going north on 11th Street? Did you ever come back past like Taco John's?
I might have come past there, but I'm not sure. I really am not sure. To my best recollection, I would say that I was through there maybe 3 times at best. At best.
3 times through without stopping?
Well, I think
Or 3 times and stopping?
I may have stopped. Well, I know that I stopped, but I don't know if I got out of the car or not. And I said to Officer Jensen if I was able to go in, and he said no.
Okay. When did you ask that to Officer Jensen?
I think it would have been around, it seemed darker. So I would say maybe 4:30. Maybe. I'm not exactly sure.
Was that prior to seeing Jenny or after seeing Jenny?
I think I saw Jenny in the afternoon. So that would have been, because I remember it being light out. So I would say I saw her first.
Was there anybody else with Officer Jensen?
And I think he was the only one there.
Okay.
I mean, in that spot.
Okay, where was Father DeBruzzi?
I think he was,
On the north side,
I think.
near Summer Street?
And I'm not even sure if I saw him there.
But when we first talked, you were positive you saw him.
Well, I think I saw him there.
Well, that's not what you said when we first talked to you. When we
Well,
first talked to you,
I,
Father
I'm
DeBruzzi
not,
was there.
right now I can tell you, I'm not positive if I saw him directly, if I saw him in the sense of seeing him. I remember being told that he was called and that he might be up there or that he was there. And then when I went up there, I don't know. I don't know.
But when you came up there, you actually told us that you parked over by AP Rock School.
That's what I thought. I think that
And
I
then
did.
you told us that you walked over there, you saw Father DeBruzzi.
But
What you didn't know at the time, what you told us, is if you had conversation with Father DeBruzzi or not.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I had conversation. I'm not even sure. After you guys left, of course, I thought about this and racked my brain trying to think about how this all played out. And I'm not sure if I parked there and got out of my car and came over here. I'm not sure about some of the direction that I took in the, which direction I was going in. You guys say that I probably came back this direction, but if I did, it would have been curiosity because I would have gone up from Carmichael to Vine. So I'm not real sure.
What's your normal route from the rectory to the tobacco shop?
If I usually did that, I would take the highway up to Walmart exit there.
And the highway meaning
94. And then sometimes I would come up. See,
if you're at the church.
If I was at the church,
tobacco shop,
then I would come down this direction.
And here you're pointing to 11th Street.
11th Street. Come down 11th Street and then go up that way.
But on this day, when we're first up there, you specifically told us that you went eastbound on Cooley Road. We brought that up to you, and you had went for so far. I went up by Target.
I'm almost positive that would have been the direction I was in. But if somebody saw me go the other direction, then maybe I went that direction. I'm not sure. I can see going down there just because I do tend to be a nosy person. I could have gone that direction. I don't recall.
You knew what was going on then.
No, I didn't know what was going on. All I knew is there was all kinds of emergency vehicles. So I wanted to know what was going on. If I went down that way.
In the course of this investigation, never once has anybody from the Hudson Police Department ever mentioned where the bodies were, positions, etc. Nor in the course of this investigation through 1,900 and some people has anybody ever brought up a speculation, a probability, a possibility, or anything like that as far as where the bodies were. Nor has anybody told us how many times they were shot or where they were shot. If that hasn't been brought up in 1,900 some interviews, and out of the course of 5 people in our department that knew exactly that, and not even he knows where that was, why do you know that?
I don't know why I know that.
Or why are you giving us information that this is what you heard?
Well, this is what I had heard. You ask me a question, I tell you the answer. So if I overheard that and I didn't tell you, then I'd be lying to you. So I tell you what I hear in the sense that if I heard these things, where it was, I'm not sure, or if it was just idle chit chat or what it was, that's all I'm telling you.
Is there anything that we've discussed today or the last time we talked to you that you want to change? Your story.
The only thing I can tell you is I'm not sure about all the events that took place on that day. I'm trying my best to explain to you what I did or where I was. I know I didn't kill him. I know that. From that, the facts are somewhat blurry to me. Where I was going. That's as much as I can do.
And some of these things, that's what we're having a problem with. We want to be able to clear you. We can't.
Sure. What do you mean you can't? Did you take my guns?
We're going over some things with you and to help go through all these events, okay, of what happened.
Have you ever shown your weapons to anybody other than us?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever owned any other weapons other than the ones that...
Those are the only ones I own.
Ever?
Yep.
You never owned any other firearms, never traded any, never bought any?
Well, I had rifles and shotguns.
Okay.
And those, I gave a rifle to one kid when he turned 18. And but other than that...
Do you recall who that was? Okay. But you never owned any other firearms?
No.
Have you ever registered any of your firearms?
1 or 2 of them are registered that I bought that were mine. The others were gifts from other people.
Okay.
So no.
Of the weapons that you turned over to us, which ones had you purchased?
The .44 Red Hawk Ruger. I believe I purchased it. I think it's in my name. and the 9mm Browning. I think both of those should be in my name.
Those are in your name. If I were to tell you that we showed those weapons to somebody and they said, I've seen others, but I don't recognize these, what would your response be?
Well, I would say they're crazy.
They're crazy?
Because those are the ones that I own. Those are the ones I've always owned, and they've always been right in the rectory where everybody can see them.
Even back in Hudson?
Back in Hudson. Yep.
Ladysmith?
Yep.
Hurley.
And Hurley. Those are the same guns that I've always had.
When you were in Hudson at the rectory, where did you store your weapons?
They were stored in the front part of the house. So it would have been, when you walk right in the front door, they were right off to the side. Right as you go up, there's stairways there. Right by the stairway they were. In the same display case as you guys saw.
You didn't have any other weapons in the rectory?
The only one I showed you was that muzzle loader, and I had that one as well.
And where was that one?
That one was always kept like as a display model, so that would have been in my living room itself.
Okay, kind of where the TV and that sort of thing is? Okay. Did you keep any... Where were the bedrooms in the rectory?
Upstairs.
Were there any weapons upstairs?
Nope, just the ones that were in that downstairs. The 9mm went upstairs with me. That one was upstairs. But other than that, and that only came up when Father Peter was gone, so that I had something upstairs. Otherwise, it was downstairs in its case as well. And that would be the Browning.
Okay, because you talked about the 44 and the Browning.
Mm-hmm.
You ever carry your weapons in your vehicle?
Sometimes when I go out, it goes on slides underneath my seat.
Which one do you normally carry with you?
9mm.
9mm?
Yeah, the Browning.
The Browning.
Sometimes the 44, if I want to show it off to there was a couple times where I took it to a priest gathering who's a connoisseur of guns, so I showed him that.
I'm not the most religious guy. I'll be the first to tell you that. And obviously you're very religious.
Yeah.
It seems odd for me for somebody in your capacity to be a gun guru or a gun connoisseur. I've never heard of it or seen it. And the type of activities that you have, such as horror films, Exorcist, Halloween, is that normal?
Well, I think it's normal from the standpoint that each priest has his own hobbies, his own things that he lets loose on, and I like to hunt. I've always been one who enjoys a good horror flick. So those are things that, as growing up, I liked, and things that I collect now. And that's actually not that uncommon. I mean, Father, there's a number of priests in our own diocese who have guns. So that's not a connoisseur of guns because they're hunters. So I don't think that that's out there. And as for movies, I know a number of other priests who have lots of movies. Whether there's some horror in there or not, I'm not sure, but I know that they have movies.
Have you ever swapped guns or traded guns or borrowed guns with anybody? Ever loaned yours out to anybody?
I've loaned out like shotguns and rifles and that kind of thing, but I've never loaned out my handguns, no.
Have you ever borrowed anybody's shotgun or handgun or rifle?
Handgun and rifle I borrowed out. Sure, they'd go hunting with it, but not a handgun.
Okay, but have you borrowed anybody else's either shotgun, rifle, or handgun?
No. I got my
own. For any reason? No. You have your own. Do priests commonly go to confession?
Yep.
How regularly?
Depends on the priest. Some priests go only when they get together in a big group, or some go every 2 weeks, some go once a month. Depends.
How often do you go?
I go once a month now.
And when you're in confession, does the other priest know who you are?
Sometimes,
Sometimes.
if you have a regular confessor.
Do you?
I had one when I was down there. It ranged from Father John Clockman to Father Brinkman to just a number of different ones, and confiding in. A lot of times, confession for priest is also spiritual direction for a priest. So you go and you get spiritual direction along with then the forgiveness of sins.
You do it once a month now?
Mhm.
How often did you do it prior to this once a month?
Oh, every 2 weeks.
Why the change?
I'm further away from the cities, further away from places. Don't have the time. I'm in charge of 4 parishes now versus not being in charge of anything before. So
Mr. Walter?
I'm very blunt. Okay. And part of that is I try and bring some reason to issues. A couple things. Listening to the chat here, I feel like I'm in a movie, and I don't like what I'm experiencing. Okay. I don't like it, quite frankly. When asked for you to explain where you were or what you were doing or this kind of stuff, you would say, I would be doing, as though you are abstracting or as you are not actually saying, I was here, I was here, I was here, okay? And it sounds like wiggle room to skeptics like me, okay? And it appears, if I were going to be unkind or honest, okay, you have selective memory, okay? Granted, I will agree that people, several years have passed and whatever else, but I don't think the fellows were that long away from you from the last interview, okay? And so things have shifted and all this kind of stuff. And I realize that it can be a tense time while you're here, and I don't expect you to be relaxed, okay? I'm going to tell you straight up, you sound like you're lying, okay?
I'll tell you straight up, I'm not. Straight up, I'm not.
And I think that I'm just more direct than maybe they're not thinking the same thing I am, but I'm telling them at the same time, okay? If I were sitting in their chairs, okay, we would be having a different conversation, okay? But this is their interview. Again, I'm an expert on murder, and I don't give much quarter to people, okay? I'm a little concerned about something else, okay? And I'm concerned that, yes, you may have been working today and all this kind of stuff, okay? But being here is not the function of a Catholic priest. You're here as an individual, yet you're dressed as a Catholic priest, and I find that staging.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I'm a priest wherever I go, and very seldom am I outside my clerics. And that you can ask people around. They'll tell you, for the most part, Father is always in his clerics unless he's doing something that requires cleaning or something like that. So I do wear my clerics all the time. I'm proud of being a priest.
Historically, I will tell you this, that in the big cities or in the world outside, they're very generous to you here. You would not be interviewed in your robes, okay, or whatever your costume or whatever you call this, okay. It would not happen, okay. They have chosen to do that, okay. If I were in charge of this investigation, okay, you wouldn't be there, okay. You'd be there as an individual, and you may strip you off a little bit, Okay, and that's not to humiliate you. That's to bring you that they're talking to a man,
Well, I'm very clear about that.
okay, as opposed to a figure, okay? Because I think sometimes for you, because people address you like that, that you see yourself as a figure also, and so it adds to some rather abstract concepts, which you tend to glide over things, okay? You glide over significant issues, particularly for detailists like us, particularly for in a murder investigation, okay? You're not stupid. Having said that, then, your recall is not explainable, or your lack of recall is not explainable, okay? It just isn't, okay? And I think that's problematic. And I think that you need to chat with him a little more and try and find some of those details of who, what, when, where, why, and how, and what you know and what you don't know, okay? Because I'm going to tell you what, in my eye, okay, you're not the only, but you're certainly not out of the frame, okay? And I'm just telling you straight up. If I were going to tick off in my head, okay, things that they may have mentioned, may not have mentioned, what you may know, what I may know, all these other sorts of things, okay? You put yourself into a difficult position that's very difficult to support. Okay?
How about a polygraph?
They're the men.
How
Ask
about
them.
polygraph?
I'd take a polygraph.
Would you?
As long as you keep the right to those specific questions, perfectly fine.
Specific questions mean.
Well, I'm just saying, did you kill Dan O'Connell? We're not speculating on all kinds of other stuff. If you make it point blank clear, I'll take a polygraph.
Okay. Would you be willing to come down? Obviously, with the stuff that we have, and to help us out. I mean, that's what we're here for. That's what we're,
I would come down.
You would come down.
I'd make arrangements with the bishop. We'll make sure that we get things covered, and I'll come down.
Would you consent to a search of your residence?
Sure.
Okay.
Do you own any property?
Do I own any property? No. Well, just the things that are in the house. The stuff that's in the house. The weapons are.
Do you own any land?
No.
Do you own a cabin?
Nope.
Your parents own any land?
They own their house, but nothing more than that.
Okay. How much land do they own?
Just what the house sits on. I don't know, maybe an acre. Maybe 2. I don't know.
To get away from things, to think, where do you go?
Usually into the chapel by the good Lord to sit down and I sit and think and try to get things together in my mind there.
Do you have any regrets on anything you've done in your life? I mean, I'll be the first to tell you I've got a great cloud over my head. I know this guy.
Oh, I know I do.
No. Certainly there's regrets in my life.
Okay.
There's certain things that I did when I was younger that I am not proud of. But never murder. Never hurting somebody like that. No.
What's the worst you've ever done to anybody?
Oh, when I was in high school, I would be bullyish, kind of push them around and let them know I was kind of in charge kind of thing. That's about as
Were you
much as
ever
I-
abused as a child, sexually or physically,
No.
mentally?
No.
Have you ever done that to anybody?
No.
How old are you again?
31.
31.
You like Budweiser,
I do.
you said. Did you ever talk to anybody? Obviously, you back up. You said you're close with family.
Yep.
Did you talk with her today?
I did.
Okay, what time was that?
Oh, I don't know. Must have been. I would say it was about right after you called. I think it was right about that time.
Okay, what time was that?
Oh, maybe around between 9:30 and 10ish, right in there. At least it was then or it was after the funeral, but I think it was before the funeral.
We have a concern also with some things that, do you have any idea why he would come to the Hudson Police Department and discuss something about you? Now, this is the time, you're in your garb. Why would he come to the Hudson Police Department to file a complaint against you?
I don't know.
What was your relationship with him?
Friends. I helped him out with what do you call it? Well,
How close of friends were you with him?
just friends.
Did you drink with him?
Yeah,
How old was he when you were giving him drinks?
I think he was about 18, and I think his mother was aware of it.
Was his mother with him when you gave him drinks?
No,
Where did you buy your alcohol when you were in Hudson?
either at the place down by County Market there. No, not.
Spirit cellar?
Yeah, Spirit Cellar.
Do you recall the time you bought alcohol?
Okay. I could have bought some there, yeah.
How often did you have him drink with you?
I think maybe 3 or 4 times.
Did he ever become highly intoxicated and get sick?
He did.
Tell me about that.
Well, he got sick, and so I went and I put him into the shower, took his clothes, and got his clothes washed, and then brought him back, and then put him to bed.
Where were the towels located?
Right on the side of the whatchamacallit, by the tub.
If he dried off part of himself and you helped him dry himself off after getting out of the shower, you were nice enough to give him the towel, you helped him dry off, correct?
I would have given him the towel and maybe patted his shoulders or given it to him, but I didn't dry him off.
Okay. You assisted him though, at least some way,
Yeah. I mean, I
Drying
gave
him
him the
off,
stuff.
didn't you?
Yeah, I made sure that he wasn't going to fall over inside in the bathtub.
Okay. Did you watch movies with him?
Sure.
Okay. How often did he massage your back?
I would have those guys walk on my back lots of times, or if I had a
What was the special oil that you used?
special oil.
Just some cream?
Probably if I had sunburn, sometimes I would have them put on like a lotion, Jergens lotion or something.
You'd have to remove your shirt.
Oh yeah.
And,
Pull it
and,
up
and,
or
and
something.
where was this done?
That would have been done right down on could be in the living space of the rectory right there by it would be where my couch was, right where the big windows are.
But how do you get sunburn if you're always in your clerics?
That when I go out, like when I take the kids swimming and stuff, then I would go ahead and have my clerics off. That's what I mean. Sometimes I'm in it. Most of the time I'm in it, and then other times, depending on what I'm doing and being outside with the kids, swimming, I would take my shirt off because I go swimming.
With Miss
I'd say wine, beer,
Okay. That happened.
Yeah.
How often did that happen?
No, I would say no more than 4 times, or that,
Who had the alcohol to feed him at?
I would say that it was wine. So, but it would be two.
Okay. The drinks?
I don't know. I don't know.
You ever asked for your permission to give him drinks?
I don't
Just
know if
one
she
was
did.
just once
Just one time. Yeah.
for permission. Then
No,
after
I
that,
don't.
she
I don't
didn't
know
ask.
his permission.
Okay.
I don't know if he asked either.
You knew that he was underage.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yet you still provided alcohol to him at their house. They gave him alcohol. Wine? You know he was underage then also, correct?
Yeah.
Did you ever intervene? Say, do not give him the alcohol?
No, I did not.
Why wouldn't you intervene as a priest to give an 18-year-old kid alcohol? People are looking up to you. People have to respect you. Is there any legal reason why you would allow that to happen?
No, it was dumb. It was foolish. I should not have. And
Talk to me laid on the bed together.
there was a time when we laid on the bed, we were talking about things of confession, and trying to assure him that he wasn't as evil as he thought he was, or that his mother thought he was, and that was primarily it. I held him at one part as he was crying. I held him and said to him, that everything would be fine. Don't worry, God loves you, and reassured him about those things.
Anything else you want to add to that before I ask you about something else?
No, that's.
You told him it was okay to become aroused when he was with you.
I told him it was okay to be aroused because I wanted to get across to him that that's not sinful in itself. That's not sinful to be aroused. And too often what happens is they get caught up in this idea that that's sinful in and of itself. And I said, it's what you do when you're aroused. It's the things that you do.
But he told us that he said he was supposed to lean against you so you knew that he was aroused and everything was okay. Why would you tell him that?
The only thing I was trying to get across to him was to tell him that arousal was not a bad thing, and that he shouldn't be ashamed of who he is, his sexuality, and that it was important to understand that it was what you did after those things. It's what you did with it versus just being that way or having them inclinations and things.
Okay, but what did you refer to him, or what did you mean when you told him to lean against you? Even though he had his back to you. You had your back to him, correct, when you told him that?
Oh, I don't. No. I will. If I was talking to him, I did not have my back to him. I would have been facing him.
Why would you tell him to lean against you, though, if he became aroused? I'm not saying, okay, that you're gay. I'm not saying that. What I am trying to figure out is why would you tell an 18-year-old kid when he gets a hard-on to lean against you so you know that he has a hard-on?
Because I wanted him to get past the shame, the idea that this is a bad thing, that we have to hide these kind of things.
Laying on a bed after he's been drinking, you're laying on a bed, he's laying on a bed. You didn't have on any clothes.
Oh, yes, I did.
Okay. Tell me about the clothes you were wearing.
I wear blue sweatpants and a white T-shirt.
Okay. When was the last time that you saw?
I went off to school, so that would have been the last time. Would have been maybe a 2 years.
Okay, I believe that you're being honest with us, and I appreciate that, Ryan. Okay? But I want to get this cleared up now.
Mhm.
How many other kids, and I'm referring to kids as under 21 years old, have you provided alcohol? Because there's other complaints that are going to be starting to come in.
Yeah, I've allowed alcohol to. Well, their parents were all present for that, so.
Okay, what are their names?
But that was like wine and stuff at dinner, and.
How many kids? How many kids do they have?
They have 3.
How old?
Um,
From what range to what range?
and I think he's a sophomore in college, and then I think.
Which alcohol did you provide to them?
Well, I didn't provide it; that they had it there. It was there.
Okay, where's there?
At their homes, and then I was there, and I said, would it be okay to have a drink? And it was okay with mom and dad. So the only ones that I would have provided alcohol for would have been.
Where did you provide the alcohol to?
Drink.
Okay. When was that?
Would have been just before he left for college, so, or maybe 2 years ago.
How old was he?
I think he was 18 or 19.
Beer or wine?
I think it was a beer.
Father Peter know about this?
I don't know if he did or didn't. I don't know if he was there or not.
You know Father Peter pretty well, though, right?
Yeah.
Well, what do you think he would say?
Well, he'd probably say that's not a good decision. That's not something to do.
He'd probably say, or he would
No,
say?
he would say.
He would say.
He would say, don't do that.
Did you ever give that up in confessions?
Oh, yeah.
Who else besides you named that you provided alcohol to? Let's get it out in the open right now so we can write this down.
Well, I'm
Okay.
trying to think.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Maybe.
And he was also at the rectory?
Mhm.
Okay. What kind of alcohol did you provide to him?
Probably would be beer. Or wine or.
Did you ever take any of these that you mentioned so far to the liquor store with you?
I remember coming, but I don't think I took any of the others with me to the liquor store.
Okay. Who else?
I think that's all I can remember that I can't think of anyone else.
Okay. Why would you provide alcohol to somebody underage?
It's that's what when I grew up, that's the kind of thing we did. We had alcohol. It was okay to have that kind of thing. So I've never had that it's evil or bad kind of idea to it.
I'm talking legally.
Yeah, I know.
We have statutes.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
That. Yeah, I did wrong. Yeah.
Did you carry out for them? Carry out?
No, I didn't ever do that.
Was it always supervised?
I
Is that what you're saying?
I was there. Yeah.
Always?
Oh yeah. I didn't carry it out and give it to them. No.
But you carried it out, and they came to the rectory.
At the rectory, yeah. But I never gave it away or anything like that.
Okay. Who liked to drink the most out of those guys you mentioned? Mm-hmm.
But that's all.
Okay. Who became the most intoxicated? A little bit too.
Yeah, but he never was intoxicated. Wine. Sometimes we'd do a little shot of Jägermeister or something like that.
Mm-hmm. All of them would do that?
No, not all.
Okay. Who would have the shots of Jägermeister? Okay. What is Jägermeister?
It's like a German liqueur.
Alcohol.
Yeah.